What's up, you guys? We're back. Welcome. Today's workout, not super complicated. As far as the movements go, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We're working on some body weight stuff, so not a ton of equipment, not a ton of complexity, just some good old-fashioned work. Even the warm-up is pretty straightforward. We're going to do jumping jacks, lunge steps, and hand plank. Okay? Jumping jacks, lunge steps, and then a hand plank is going to be last. For that, we're just going down to our hands underneath our shoulders, just hanging out, getting our midline warmed up. That's the warm-up. The workout is going to follow the Tabata interval. So when we do Tabata work, it's 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest. And as you can see, there's 4 movements listed out. That means that we will do the first one, which is push-ups. You're going to do that for 4 minutes. Okay, 20 seconds of push-ups, 10 seconds of rest. 20 seconds of push-up, 10 seconds of rest. You do that for 4 minutes, then you take 1 minute off. Okay, your score for that is the total number of push-ups you complete in that 4-minute block. And then you move on to the next one, which is going to be sit-ups. Then you do the same thing with squats. Then you do the same thing with burpees. We get 1 minute of rest between each of those 4-minute blocks, and you're scoring for total reps completed in each. Because these movements are, they're common. We do them all the time. There's not as many coaching points, or seemingly there's not as many coaching points as there could be for something like a snatch or a clean and jerk, or something where there's a bunch of equipment and you're changing directions as you move. These things can kind of be thought of as, oh, I know how to do those. I just do them how I do them, and that's it. So we're just going to go through a few coaching points on some simple stuff that I see people kind of lose sight of as they fall into the groove of comfort with these movements. All right. Even the simple stuff can be cleaned up and can be that much more efficient if you do it better. So that's what we're going to work on real quick. Push-ups. All right. We want our body in a straight line. Whether you go from your toes or you go from your knees, this should never happen. Your back should never be overextended. Your back should never be round. That's not really that big of an issue. But keeping a little bit of tension in your belly and your glutes will really help. Okay, if you guys stand up and you put a little tension here and you squeeze your butt, it's hard to put your back into a goofy position. All right, that's what we want to work on as we do our push-ups. Straight back. Second thing is the range of motion. All right, I want you guys to make sure that your chest touches the ground or something at the bottom of every rep. The problem with not letting yourself do that is that you never know if you're getting better at them. Okay, the people that I've coached, even some for a long time, that don't always go down to the ground, they tend to get stuck. They're like, I just can't do it, it's too tough, and they never have progress markers for how much better they're getting, how far they're going, because they don't have a point of reference to touch at the bottom of their reps. So grab a couple books, right? If you can't go all the way down to the ground, that's totally fine. Grab a couple books and lower down to something. Then as you get stronger throughout the course of time, as you do more workouts, take one of those books away, that you have an actionable marker for the progress that you've made. So that's something that's important. So keep your back straight, right? Know what range of motion you're working through. And then third is the position of your arms and how it relates to your shoulders, okay? So when we're at the bottom, I want your elbows to be out at about 45 degrees from your ribs, all right? So we're not way up here like this. We're not with our arms touching our ribs like so. We're halfway between, okay? So what this looks like, whether I go from my toes or from my knees, I start in a plank, squeeze my belly and butt, just a little bit is fine. I rock my way forward, lower down, touch my chest, and then push back up. Same thing applies if I go from my knees. I'm looking for this shape at the bottom, touching the ground with my chest, or something like a target, some books, something like that, and not letting my back kind of slinky as I go, all right? That's push-ups. After that, we're doing sit-ups. These are pretty straightforward, okay? What I do see sometimes is if you guys have ever got that little raspberry kind of at the bottom of your back, the top of your butt, that thing sucks. You get in the shower and you're like, woo! Sneaks up on you. That tends to happen because we do this. We go down to the bottom, especially if you're using an ab mat, and as we get tired, we pick our hips up, and then we throw our hips down and come forward. I'm over-exaggerating it so you can see what I'm talking about. But even just a little bit, that makes a difference. So when you guys are doing your sit-ups, you can use your arms on these. Think about keeping your hips glued to the ground, okay? We're not looking for momentum like this to get us going. We're already using our arms, so there's a little bit of assistance there. Keep those hips on the ground, all right? After that, we're doing squats. So shoulder width stance when we squat. This should be any squat. This could be a squat with a barbell. This could be a wall ball. This could be a goblet squat, an overhead squat, whatever. Any kind of squat, thruster, is going to be largely the same, okay? Little variations are fine, but generally speaking, we're at about shoulder width. We want our toes to be pointing straight forward. If we go out to about 11 and 1, that's okay, but you want to kind of decrease the angle that your toes point out, all right? So shoulder width, toes point out just a little bit. Again, kind of the same tension as I'd use for a push-up. I'm going to squeeze my belly, squeeze my butt. I'm going to keep that tension as I work. My hips go back and my knees drive apart, all right? So sometimes I'll see people squat and they're thinking knees drive apart so much they end up doing this with their feet, and they're on the edge of their feet. If that's you and you feel that happening, think about gripping the ground with your big toe. That always helps me out. belly's tight, shoulders are back, my glutes are tight, I push my hips back, my knees go out, I sink down till my hips are below my knees, and then I stand back up. When I say hips below my knees, what I'm looking for is that the crease of your hips goes below the top of your knee. Okay, so there should be a downward angle through your thigh at the bottom of each squat. Last but not least is the burpee. So same kind of mechanics as we'd use for a push-up, but we're just not going to do that slow controlled descent. We're just going to try to get to the ground. Okay, so the idea is just to get to the ground and then come back up. So it's not that strict rep that the push-up is, but same basic range of motion, same basic mechanics. So I start standing, my feet are at about a squat stance here. My feet are pointing straight forward, heels are on the ground. I'm going to plant my hands on the ground in front of me. And then as I jump my feet back, I just use my arms to control my descent. Okay, so the bottom looks a whole lot like a push-up, except for I'm just kind of relaxed here. As I come back up, I'm going to let my chest lift first, and I jump my feet back to my hands, okay? So my knees are pushing out just like I'm squatting, my feet are largely pointing straight forward, and then I jump and clap overhead. So again, here's my burpee. Hands plant, feet jump back, I jump my feet back to my hands, jump and clap overhead. Burpees, we love them. All right, the accessory work today, 3-weight plate raises. A lot of us don't have, I don't know why, a lot of us don't have weight plates at home. There's something wrong with this world. So we have Kansas soup. This weighs something. I'm gonna use two per hand. Usually when we do these things in the gym, we're using like 2.5 pound plates, 5 pound plates, something like that. Each one of these cans is about 1 pound, so this is about 2 pounds, but you'd be surprised how quickly this feels like a lot. Hold a can of soup or 2 cans of soup or whatever per hand. You're gonna pack your shoulders, you're gonna squeeze your belly, you're gonna lift up straight out in front of you, then come back down, lift up at about 45 degrees, and then come back down, and then up out to your sides, and then come back down. That's 1, okay? 10 of those, rest for a sec, shake it out, complain about how tired your arms are despite the fact you're using cans of soup, and then do that 2 more times. 3-weight plate raises, bam! The mobility today, I better check. We're getting into a deep lunge. 1 minute per side. We're gonna go back and forth until we have done 3 minutes per side. So make this what you guys want it to be. All right, when I get into this, I'm generally starting off pretty easy. Like I feel for a little bit of tension in the front of the hip of the leg that's back behind me, and then the back of the leg that's out in front of me. I just feel for a little bit of tension. My back knee's on the ground. I'm just kind of easing my way into this. But the further I get and the longer I hold, the more I have to kind of push and look for tension. So I might start like this, but then as I get going, I'm gonna work that back knee back a little bit to put a little further split between my hips. I might work on like adding in this quad stretch. I might work down to my elbows. You guys can kind of choose what feels best for you, but take advantage of the opportunity to really get your hips moving. It's one of the best things I think we can do is get into that lunge and hang out there for a while. So embrace this mobility. If you're used to not taking it on, you skip that part, today's a good day to get back at it. You will feel a lot better by the time you're done, and your hips, your back, everything will appreciate your work for it. So that's all we got for today, you guys. I'll see you on the next one. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up, and I'm happy to help. I'll see you guys next time. Later.